Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you around a very special car. This is a car I bought about a year ago. It's older than me. It's 13 years older than me. It's a fantastic car, and it's something that I've taken great pride in. And today we're going to give it a good service. So the car in question is a Ford Escort MkII from 1976, and it's an absolute beauty of a car. So we've got the RS wheels on it. I've tastefully added the MkII rally headlights. We've got headlights and we've got the fog lights. They work absolutely perfectly. The car is in mint condition. It was bought from Portugal, so it is a left-hand drive, as you can see here, and it seems to work absolutely brilliant. The bodywork's fantastic. There's not a bit of rust anywhere. The other things I've done is I've added the carbon bumpers. That's real carbon, and at the front we've got the carbon split bumpers 1 and 2. Now the car was bought from Portugal, it was brought into the UK and registered in the UK, and I've got to admit I do love it. A 1976 Ford Escort 1.3 cross flow engine. Let me just get this set up. I mean, it is a nearly 50-year-old car now. I've not really done much to it. I'm not going to swap anything out. I'm going to keep it exactly factory, exactly as it should be. We've got the standard rocker cover. I've cleaned that up. I've put a new gasket in. We do have a thermostat. It didn't come with a thermostat, probably because it was running in Portugal, although that doesn't make any sense because it was a hot country. This thermostat housing is a bit crusty. It does need replacing, and I do need to replace the hoses. The radiator probably needs replacing as well, and the fan belt. But today we're going to do an oil change, spark plug change, and oil filter change, which should be at the bottom. So I suppose the next thing we should do is start it up. Now, I don't drive it that often. It does have a choke, for people that know what a choke is. So I'll pull that on full, which it is. Make sure it's not in gear. And I suppose we should get it started. So get the key in the ignition. Lights come on, and let's see if it will start. On the button, on the button. That's great, we've got half a tank. We'll let that get up to temperature, and then we'll go for the drive. Well, we'll go and get some parts for the car anyway. So, there's the engine running, fairly smooth. Probably got a little bit of a mess, but we can deal with that. So, let's get some Eurocar parts and get some bits and pieces.
One eternity later.
So now that the car's warmed up, I suppose we should get out for a drive. Big steering wheel. Get the seatbelt on, although I don't think it'll do much for saving me in a crash. But let's give it a go. Get that into reverse. It's a bit hard to get into reverse. Right. Oh, in fact, let's make sure the house is locked. Right, the house is locked. Let's get going. Right, start up again. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Right, so let's get driving. Ah, absolute beauty, absolute beauty. So, here we go. So it's not driven for about 6 weeks, something like that. Windy windows, something you don't get to see often. So it seems to run nicely. It's got 4-speed, 4 gears. The brakes, it's a 50-year-old car, the brakes are not fantastic. It does have disc brakes on the front, it does have drum brakes on the rear, but you really have to push your foot down to get it to stop, and because of that I don't tend to drive it too aggressively. So I mean, what else can I say about it? It's pretty basic, it doesn't really have much going on. It's got an accelerator, a clutch, a brake, it's got a handbrake, a gear stick, and that is about it. There's not really much else going on. I mean, what do we have? Cold air. It doesn't have a heater matrix, that's something I'm going to need to put in. It's got sun blinds that fall down all the time, and the camera that drops when I turn. So let's get going, and I'll update you when we get there. One of the things this car does, it loves when you're driving for the gear stick to just pop off. So I've just been on a main road in a load of traffic and the gear stick has just popped off in 4th gear of all things. So I had to cause a load more traffic, roll down a hill into a side road and then attempt to screw it back on. Now the stupid thing is, I don't know why Ford did this back in the 70s, it's got a metal thread that's on the gearbox itself, it's got a metal thread, but the connection that seals, that holds the gear stick into that location is plastic, which means that it's disintegrated over 50 years. So now I have to stop, re-thread it back in, getting my hands covered in copper oil, and oh, it's so horrible. Luckily I carry gloves in the car just for that purpose, but I normally carry a spanner as well, but I couldn't find that today, so that was by hand. So there we go. We've now got the car ready to go, so I'll show you what we've got to play with. We've got triple QX 20W50, which is classic car oil, very thick oil. We've got a new Bosch oil filter and 4 NGK spark plugs. I'm just going to get the car up on the ramps and I'll cut back in then. So the trick is to have the car warm, not hot, just warm. And I suppose the first thing we'll do is drain the oil. So in order to do that, we will remove the oil cap. So I'll remove the oil cap with my gloves on this time, if I can figure out how to do this. It will come off, I'm sure it will. Let's give it a wipe down because it's full of oil. Right, so let's get this thing on. Here we go. There we go, that was a bit of a mission. So, it's looking good. So, once we've done that, let's get the oil drained into a pan. We'll start with a 22mm socket. To empty this. To get off. So can I do this without dropping it in? Probably not. No, it needs more socket because it's dented, which is annoying, which means this is going to be a messy job. Right, oil all over the socket, fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be a socket all the way, unfortunately. So I think that's it now. Let's get the sump plug out. There we go. The trick is, when working on cars like this, or with any car really, keep tissue close to hand. If you've got tissue, then your hands shouldn't get too dirty. And then what we'll do while it's out is we will just give the sump plug a bit of a wipe, see as it's full of oil, which it is. So on the MkII Escort, what we've got is we've got the sump just here, the sump plug. You can see that that's been dented at some point. I will replace that, but it won't be today. We've got the oil filter, and then obviously the spark plugs up top. Now we keep the sump pan underneath. I'm hoping that we'll be able to undo this by hand, fingers crossed. Which is no.
One eternity later.
So let's get the sump plug back in. Hopefully it'll go in nice and neat, which it will. Now we will need quite a bit of tightening on this one. So again, 22mm socket. Let's get some leverage on this. Let's give this a wipe. Let's make sure that it's dry. You should be able to see what this is. That is oil. So we do have an oil leak coming from somewhere up top. I'm going to guess it's going to be the rocker cover. That would be my main guess. So first off, let's get this filled with oil. So I'm not able to find the oil capacity of this vehicle, so I think what I'm going to have to do is fill it slowly and just keep dipping the dipstick, and hopefully we'll find the capacity of this engine. So bear with me. I will get my funnel and we'll go from there. A clean pair of gloves on, and I'm going to guess this is going to be about 3 litres, something like that. It's an older vehicle, so it's not going to have as much oil as, let's say, a brand new car, which, you know, I mean, my van's about 5.5 litres, 6 litres, so I think if we work off on the basis of half of that, then we should be good to go. So, trusty dirty funnel, get that in, and we'll get our oil. So, one of the things that I'm going to need to do, because the fill nozzle on this vehicle is at an angle, so what I'll do is I will get hold of the funnel, because it's at a funny angle. I'll get hold of the funnel and I will attempt to hold it whilst filling, which isn't going to be the easiest thing, because we want to fill from the side to prevent glugging. That's a little tip for everybody. If your vehicle, when you're filling anything really, fill it from the side like this, because it will prevent any glugging from taking place. So if we start off filling, it's a super thick oil, this. You can see it. It's extremely thick. This is a 5 litre tub, so I'll stop at 2.5 and then see where we go from there. So what I'll do now is I'll just clean up the oil filler cap, because it was a bit oily and messy, and that looks fairly clean to me. So we will get that back in, and then we'll start with the spark plugs. So spark plugs, we do this one by one. The reason being is we don't want to lose where we are with regards to the HT leads. So we've got our new MkIs. We'll get these out and we'll see what state these things are in. I'm going to guess they're going to be okay. Oh, that was fairly tight. Let's see. I have done a compression test on the vehicle before. all 4 cylinders are pretty much where they need to be. So they're quite full of carbon, but I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. Let's say fairly rusted, but I did have a coolant leak not long back, so we'll replace that with the new MkII, and the spacing seems to be absolutely spot on there. So nice clean new plug. So get that in there, and we shall get this fed in. And the idea with spark plugs as well is always start them by hand before trying to ratchet them in. The last thing you want to do is cross thread the spark plug threads. Let's get that one in, and we'll torque this down to manufacturer standard. I'll show you what that is in a second. There we go. So we'll torque this down nice and tight. I'd say 20 newton meters, something like that. Right, put that heat lead back in. Cylinder 2. Oh, quite tight, these plugs. So one of the things to remember when you're dealing with a car of this age, so this has got a carburetor. That's what mixes the fuel and air. Again, I know there's plenty of mechanics on here and amateur mechanics that'll know this, but that mixes fuel and air, which heads into the cylinder with the spark and creates combustion. Now, the spark comes from this thing here. This is called the distributor, and on top of the distributor is a distributor cap, and inside that you've got the dizzy arm. The arm goes around in time and fires each cylinder. So 1, 3, 2, 4, I think it is, or 1, 3, 4, 2, I can't remember, whatever firing order this vehicle has, that will fire each cylinder, each spark, and we'll have the vehicle in time, I suppose.